Real quick before we get into the video, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our Discord server. It's a fun place to talk about all things Glitch, including a lot of discussion about murder drones. If you're interested, click the link in the description. Now anyway, onto the video. Ever since Murder Drones Episode 7 was released, there has been one recurring question on everyone's mind. How the hell does Season 2 happen after that? Yeah, a lot happened during the episode, but what made people start truly believing that this would be the one and only season was, of course, Doll's death and the reveal with Tessa. Now, I have a lot to say about these moments specifically, and I'd like to discuss my thoughts and why I don't necessarily think this means that there won't be a season 2. Now, as I say with most of these types of videos, this is a theory. Please don't come at me with pitchforks and torches if it turns out we're only getting one season. Things are looking uncertain at the moment, and we could still very well get a single season depending on what happens in episode 8. Okay, so before we talk about those moments from episode 7, we need to discuss how Glitch has marketed and spoken about murder drones in the past. Ever since a full season was greenlit back in February of 2022, yeah, that feels like forever ago, when we got the Season 1 teaser, it was always labeled as Season 1. That's the way it was labeled all the way up until November of last year, which is when we got the teaser for episode 7 and 8 at GlitchX. After that, we got nothing but silence for a while, and when episode 7 was finally out, they began wording things as if episode 8 was the last episode of the series. Real quick, I would like to bring up a past Glitch show, Sunset Paradise. The show was always meant to last a single season, therefore it was never officially labeled as a season 1, and it was made very clear from the start that this is all that we're getting. Why would Murder Drones be any different? It just doesn't make any sense. So really, Glitch is either trying to mislead us, or something happened during the development of the show and now they're trying to finish things up within a single season. I'm not gonna lie, I can see it going either way. Yeah, it wouldn't be unlike Glitch to lead us in the wrong direction, but also things can be unpredictable during the development of any show, so maybe they decided it's best to tie things up at the show's peak. Which I honestly would absolutely hate, considering that there's still so many ways they can expand this universe, so much untapped potential, even if things aren't looking too good after what happened in the latest episode. Yeah, Doll's death was kind of bullshit. She had so much going for her, only to be killed out of absolutely nowhere in the most gruesome way possible. I can kinda see why people think her death means Season 2 is a no-go. Doll was one of the main antagonists and was a really cool character, and they could have explored her so much more. She didn't even get the closure she wanted with her parents, so there's that. We also know she's really dead and not one of the Solver's holograms because we see Sin clearly eating Doll's core, which was the last remaining part of her. So the chances of her being revived ain't looking too good. But I'm gonna be honest, and I know some people are gonna disagree with me, but I don't necessarily think the story needs Doll to continue. Sure, if her story is truly over, that would feel kinda rushed to me, but we've seen firsthand that this show isn't afraid to go in a direction that nobody expects. So let's say if the Solver does somehow survive by the end of the next episode, warranting a second season, which I'll discuss more in a bit, I can see them trying to give her story proper closure without her physically being there, such as flashbacks and maybe having the main group discover things about Doll later on. Or they might just drop it all together and add a brand new antagonist. Whatever. While I'm not against the idea of a new secondary antagonist, I really think they just need to properly tie up Doll's story. Unless they somehow manage to do that in episode 8. I don't know how likely that is, but I still stand by her not needing to be there to progress the story, as we've seen firsthand that Liam and Glitch are not afraid to do things that nobody expects. Now let's talk about the big reveal of the episode. Tessa. Tessa was actually Sin the entire time, just wearing Tessa's rotting corpse. Lovely. To save time, I won't really go into my thoughts on the reveal itself. I mean, I thought that moment with N was kind of badass, but I'm not gonna lie, that kind of bummed me out a bit. Like, it was pretty obvious from the start that something was up with Tessa, so I never really fully trusted her to begin with. But damn, I was not expecting that. Like, and what the f***? And for it to happen so suddenly too, similar to Doll, I don't think you need Tessa's inclusion to progress the story, especially if the whole point of her character was just to be hiding a greater evil. At the end, we see Sin throw herself into the flesh hole, causing an explosion, which is followed by Uzi getting thrown into the same hole, revealing her to be in space, staring at the destroyed remains of Copper 9. One thing about this scene specifically I'd like to mention is that there exists a piece of official Murder Drones concept art that features a collapsed planet with what looks like the absolute solver symbol going through it. Besides the planet, there are two text bubbles, one displaying the Saturn-like planet indicating that this is concept art of Copper 9 after it was destroyed. The other text bubble simply says Season 1. Again, that's them labeling it as Season 1. Okay, that's the main reason I wanted to bring up this concept art, but it's still really interesting that Episode 7's big reveal at the end could have been in front of us this entire time. Okay, so a good chunk of this video has really just been me going on about how Glitch has been referring to it as Season 1, but let's actually briefly discuss how a Season 2 could work. But to do that, how exactly could Episode 8 end? While I do think the episode will focus on trying to take down the Solver once and for all, of course, things aren't going to go smoothly at all. I'll discuss more about the Solver itself in a moment, but first, let's talk about everyone's favorite character who barely gets any screen time, Jay. Although we can't be certain if she knows the truth about Tessa, she still ordered Jay to destroy any spaceship so that nobody could escape the planet. That way, when the Solver blows up Copper 9, there will be no survivors. Well, I do think at some point, N will probably meet up with Jay, talk some sense into her, and give her back the keys to the ship. That way they can escape the planet before it explodes. That also means that, a few people will survive, but yeah, I very much doubt that there's enough room on the ship for everyone currently living on Copper 9. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of dead drones, but no one needs to worry about that, Yeah, I know some of you were expecting there to be a big fight between Jay, Con, Lizzie, and Thad, but to be fair, we were all expecting there to be a big fight in episode 6, and that never happened, so I'm not expecting anything too crazy. I do think that before all this takes place, we will get a reveal that V is alive, and I can kind of see her jumping down the elevator shaft and running into N at some point. Uzi did kick him out of the cathedral, and he's all alone, so maybe he either gets into some trouble and she saves him, maybe he's being attacked by Sentinels, who knows. Like, we saw at the end of episode 6, V gets attacked by Sentinels. Now in episode 8, V saves N from Sentinels. I think that would be kind of cute, I guess. Or maybe N just runs into V casually and we get a big warm reunion. Now, something that Kano brought up during the collab video was that he believes the scene with Uzi in space actually takes place at the end of episode 8, and honestly, it kind of makes sense. Episode 7 ended with Copper 9 in shambles, yet we still have other important characters on the surface. So, like, did everyone die? Or maybe by the time Uzi ended up in space and had already given Jay the keys and they escaped the planet? even so, that still leaves a lot of drones dead, as I mentioned earlier. I also had a theory that maybe Uzi got a glimpse of the future, and maybe this is what will happen to Copper 9 if the solver isn't stopped. That theory is very much unlikely though, as we already saw a huge explosion come out of the flesh hole created by the solver, so it's not like that didn't happen. Yeah, this is a bit confusing. We'll probably get a reunion with Uzi's mom here as well, considering she's down here too after... yeah, that's gonna be a bit awkward. Okay, back to the solver for a moment. In episode 8, we'll most likely face off against the solver, but will it only be in the form of Sin? If that's the case, then there's no possible way destroying her alone takes down the entire program, right? Unless the entire program is within Sin, making her the source, but that doesn't make too much sense to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just an idiot. If they do manage to take down Sin, then it will probably involve using the real cross, smacking her in the face with it, as we've seen that's how exercising the solver works. Now, I've mentioned it before, but there's no way that the cross Uzi destroyed is the real one. The real one is probably floating around somewhere in space as Nori threw it down the flesh hole after Yeva saved her. So yeah, I can see them taking down Sin using the cross, but I still don't buy it being that easy. The only way to take down the solver would more than likely be to destroy the source, as if it wasn't obvious. I'm not sure if the source would necessarily be Cabin Fever Labs itself, but it just seems like we're missing something big. Either way, I do still believe that the planet will be in shambles by the end of episode 8, and perhaps this is the moment that En finally puts his pilot skills, or lack thereof, to good use, escaping the planet, running into Uzi and Nori in the process. Then, in Season 2, I can see everyone making their way to another exoplanet that hasn't yet been destroyed by the solver. We do know that there are many more exoplanets that JC Jensen used to mine copper. I assume Copper 9 has the number 9 for a reason. If we do explore a new exoplanet though, that also means the potential of new characters, some of which could be very important to the plot and help fill in what characters we lost in the previous season. So yeah, the bottom line is, it's still possible for Season 2 to happen, even if, 90% of what I said makes absolutely zero sense. Knowing Glitch, they'll find some way to pad it out for another season. I mean, hell, Meta Runner was nowhere near as successful as Murder Drones, and yet it still got 3 seasons. Who knows, maybe 3 seasons will be the standard length of Glitch shows going forward. Well, I mean, maybe not Digital Circus, considering that only 1 season is planned at the moment, I believe, so, with its colossal success, things could always change. But yeah, I'm still hopeful that Murder Drones Season 2 will happen, even if it takes a while. I guess we'll find out for certain once Episode 8 releases, which I'm just gonna throw out a prediction right now and say that it's coming out in July. That's my prediction there. I'm probably wrong, but you know what? I'll take what I can get, damn it. Anyway, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Murder Drone Season 2 is happening? Or do you think we're only getting 1 season and 1 season only? Let me know down in the comments below. But as always, be sure to drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it. And be sure to subscribe if you want to stay updated with all my content. But with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, guys, this is Inferno, signing off.